Hi, I'm Kirsty from Lloyd Sewing, and this video tutorial is about how to use the Brother bi-level feet. There are two versions of the bi-level foot. There are a right version and there's a left version. Now the difference between the two of these is the side that the bi-level is on. Okay, so this is the right version because the lower part of the foot is on the right, and this is the left version because the lower part of the foot is on the left. Now you can use this foot for sewing two pieces of fabric together, or more than two pieces of fabric together, if those fabrics are at different levels. For example, it's brilliant for using on patch pockets, especially when you're using thicker fabrics like this wool boucle. I also used it on this wax cotton waterproof coat, again for the patch pocket, but also for the pocket flap. If I lift this up, you can see what we've got there is two levels of the wax cotton there and an interfacing, but then that's doubled over, so we're going through 4 layers but only applying it to one. So we end up with a ridge, and it means that this foot, when you're using it, butts up against it and you run it along the edge. You can also use the foot for flat felled seams, which would probably be what most people would use it for, because again, you've got a bulky seam against just one layer of fabric. And then I did apply another patch pocket over the top there, so you can see, as we saw earlier, it was suitable for going around curves or straight edges as well on pockets. This foot has also got a non-stick coating on it, so it's perfect if you're using any vinyl, oilcloth, leather. And again, these are generally bulky fabrics to start with, so as soon as you get seams and you want to start top stitching them, you automatically get a ridge along the edge, and the bi-level foot works perfectly for making sure that you get a nice neat seam along the edge of those seams. Now let's take a closer look at these feet in action. I'm going to show you how you can use the bi-level feet for 3 different features. So first for a flat fell seam, then for a patch pocket, and then we'll look at its non-stick coating qualities and sew a little bit of the vinyl. The bi-level feet are really easy to attach. They're just a clip-on foot, and all we do is take off whichever foot you've got on the machine, and then this one will just clip in place. So you've just got the little black release button on the presser foot holder there, and you just match the bar up with the opening on the presser foot holder and clip them in place. Now I've attached here the right bi-level foot, and that means that the lower edge is to the right hand side, in comparison to the left bi-level foot, in which the lower piece is on the left. Now the reason I'm going to use the right one is because I am going to sew a flat fell seam. Here's one that I did earlier, and we can see that the lower side of my fabric is on the right. So that means that the lower edge of the foot will go on that side of the fabric, and then you use that inner edge there as a guide for running along the edge of the fabric. Okay? So I have already prepped my flat fell seam part way. So I've sewn the two edges wrong sides together and right sides out. You trim down one edge and fold it over again and give it a good press. Now I am going to use my Sew Line glue pen. I use this in so many projects. It's a really handy tool to have in your sewing kit. And I'm just going to run a touch of glue all the way under there, just to help hold my flat fell seam in place while sewing. We do have the Sewline glue pens available on our website and in store. And once the glue's run out in them, you can just get refills for them as well, and you can get refills in different colours. So now that I've got that prepped, I'm ready to sew it. So what I'm going to do is butt the fold of my flat fell seam up against the inner edge of the bi-level foot. But you'll notice that where the needle position is there, it's going to be sewing over to the left, and I don't want that. I want to sew over to the right instead. So all I'm going to do is just use my width settings just to move the needle position across until I'm happy with the position of it. And if you want to check where it's going to go, you can just drop the needle down and check that you're happy with it. So I think I'm just going to put it at 6.5 because I want it to be close to the edge but not right on the edge there. Okay, so I'm happy with the position of that now. So now all I'm going to do is start sewing, and I'll slow this down just so you can see what I'm actually doing. I'm just keeping the fold of that seam butted up against the inner edge of that foot there. And because we are sewing on two different levels of fabric, but I've got the bi-level foot on there, the foot isn't wanting to tilt to one side, it's staying nice and flat. So it's just a case of guiding my fabric through and keeping that fold up against that bi-level inner edge. And there we have our flat felled seam. Really easy to do. Perfect with denim fabrics if you're making jeans, pinafore dresses, anything like that. But you also use flat fell seams on shirt making as well. So the bi-level foot would be really good for all those kind of projects. Now let's look at how we can attach a patch pocket using the Brother bi-level foot. I'm going to stick with the bi-level foots to the right, as I did with the flat felled seam earlier in the video. And I have already attached my pocket in place, going round once, but I want to do 2 rows of stitching. So I used the bi-level foot on the right to do my inner stitch with the needle position in the left. But now what I'm going to do is start off the same as I did for my inner row of stitching, but I'm just going to move the needle position across. So it's a little bit closer to that outer edge, and this is just personal preference for where I want it to be. So I think probably the needle position at number 6. Okay? Just do a little back stitch at the top of the pocket there, because the top of the pockets are always a weak point, so you need to make sure you always back stitch them. All I'm doing is keeping the outer edge of that fold of the pocket up against the edge of my bi-level foot. And when I get to the corner, we just stop, and with the needle down, raise the foot, and you can pivot your fabric. And we just continue all the way around. we have the patch pocket that's been attached on so easily, and I've done 2 rows of stitching, and you can see because I used the edge of the bi-level foot as a guide all the way around, and I've just got my 2 rows, but they're a perfect distance apart all the way around. Now the genuine Brother bi-level feet do have a non-stick coating on them, and that is the same for both the left version and the right version. If you look at your standard sewing foot, you'll see that it's a shiny metal, whereas the bi-level feet are matte, or the Brother ones are matte, and that means that they've got the non-stick coating on them, and they're perfect for sewing vinyls and oilcloths and leather fabrics. Anything with a shiny, sticky surface, it's suitable to use the non-stick bi-level foot for. Now, I used the right version to stitch down this side, but now I'm going to swap and use the left version to sew down my folded seam on the left-hand side of my patch. So I've attached that onto the machine the same way that we attached the other one earlier in the video. I have also changed the needle to one of the Schmetz Super Universal needles. We do have these available in store or on our website, and they're available in 3 different weight sizes, an 80s, a 90s and a 100s. I've popped a 90s in the machine just because with this I am going to be going through 4 layers of the vinyl fabric there. Now the Super Universal needles have a non-stick coating on them, and they feel quite slippery and shiny, but they're perfect for working with this kind of fabric. Again, with the non-stick foot, in the conjunction of the 2 of them together, it just means that nothing is sticking to the fabric as you're actually sewing it. So I'm going to fold the edge of my vinyl over here, and then I'll just finger press that in place, because as you will know, you can't go taking a hot iron to the vinyl because it will just melt it. And you can use a pressing cloth, but for something like this it's easy enough just to finger press the fabric in place. And once you've got that held down, I'm then going to pop it underneath the foot, and as we did earlier, I'm just with the flat fill seams in the patch pocket, I'm just butting up the fold of the fabric, but this time with the left hand side of the foot because I'm using the left version. Okay, I'm going to just move my needle position to be appropriate for where I want it. I think I'll have it at 1.5 there because I don't want it too close to the edge. And it's the same principle. All I'm doing is just keeping the fold of the fabric up against the fold of the bi-level foot, and it's flowing through so easily there because of the non-stick coating on the foot and the Super Universal needle. Thank you so much for watching Load Sewing video on the Brother bi-level feet.